on science journaling and the importance of using science journals with our K-5 students. So why is it important for our students to use science journals? Science journaling for elementary school students helps them observe, record, and reflect on experiments just like real scientists do. By drawing pictures, writing notes, and asking questions, students practice the same skills that scientists use to explore and understand the world. Science journaling also encourages a deep engagement with the scientific concepts by providing a space for recording observations, ideas, and reflecting on experiments and investigations. When we think about student journaling, it should be student driven. Students should be able to write their thinking and their observations without a lot of intervening from the teacher. This is also a great place to document student thinking and understanding. And then you should be able to clearly see the learning target based on the verbiage of the standard and see evidence of it in their science journals. So why should students be writing in science? Why is this important? We know that writing in science challenges students to problem solve and to think critically. It supports that science sense making and mathematical reasoning. And then it also helps teachers look for evidence of logical conclusions, justifications of answers, and explanation of thinking. Science journaling can also be used to help identify misconceptions and to shift instruction to problem solving and real life application. Also, writing in science and science journaling can help support those formative assessments back to identifying those misconceptions. So where do you start as a classroom teacher? Well, a great place to start is scientific observation. So as your students are looking at things, whether it be the phenomenon, whether they go outside into the garden, having them write down their scientific observations. Also, when you're doing your notice and wonder with students and they are looking at a phenomenon, those are great things to put in our science journals. Then, of course, our science and engineering practices. So in these pictures, we can see students that are planning and carrying out investigations, when students are using claim evidence reasoning to construct an argument from evidence. All of those things can go in the science journal. And I love this example. This is actually from a Gwinnett County kindergarten class. They are doing an experiment. So they're planning and carrying out the investigation with worms. And so you can see number one is put in the worm casting. Number two is put in the seeds. Number three is put in the worms. And you can see that they have drawn a picture of the different steps. They have worm one, worm two, worm three. So everybody from kindergarten through high school into college can benefit from scientific journaling. So we're going to start with some non-examples. So when we talk about scientific journaling, it's not cutting and pasting those graphic organizers. It's not cutting and pasting handouts into our science journal. This isn't a place for us to keep all of our papers by gluing them in there. We really want this to be authentic student thinking. Sometimes it's appropriate for the students to copy from the board, but this is really not a place for our students to copy down those scientific notes. We want it to be that authentic student thinking where they are making observations and asking questions. It also shouldn't be a list of questions at the end of the unit that students are answering. Instead, when we talk about science journaling, we should make sure that it, of course, meets the needs of all of our students. It is perfectly appropriate to provide scaffolded sentence stems for your students, especially if they're writing around the science and engineering practices. It should encourage students to write daily. In this picture, we see a student looking at making some observations, so they could be writing those observations in their science journal. It should allow students to we should allow students to share their entries via a think, pair, share. So this would be a great opportunity. Okay, all of my students have their science journals. I want you to think for a second. I want you to write down what you see in this phenomenon. Then we are going to share with our partner. And then also our science journal should not be used after the fact, but instead should be utilized during the lesson to document those student ideas and their discovery as they go. So research shows that we need to plan for student journaling. And when we plan for student journaling, it structures the teacher's lesson better. It provides reference for student decision making and consensus. It focuses our students' attention on relevant details and process. It promotes student synthesis to synthesize and reflect on the engineering and design. It provides a record of testing information for design evaluation, as students are planning and carrying out investigations, if they're constructing explanations, if they're constructing solutions to problems. Okay. It supports communication of ideas between the teacher and the student. And then it also provides visual references for development of explanations. So how do you get started? Start by walking through the lessons as a grade level team and really keep these two questions in mind. What do we want to see in our student journals, and how will we assess the content knowledge through our students' journaling? So when you're walking through lessons and keeping those two questions in mind, it'll really help you plan out for those powerful journaling opportunities for our students. As always, thank you for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Brandon. Have a great day. Thank you.